It is vlog number 151. My heart is broken after my San Francisco 49ers blew an NFC title game that they had won. My wrist is broken after a crash at Mount Rose on a snowboard last week. But as far as I'm concerned, my ability to keep beating these poker games remains firmly intact. I make the trip to Peppermill and get into a game at about 2 p.m. on a Thursday, but it's chock full of OMCs, so it's lousy. And before we get into the hands that I did play, if you have watched this vlog in the past, you know I occasionally like to show you fun hands that I am not a part of around the Peppermill Poker Room. And near the end of one session, we saw what must have been a record tank when local legend Mr. Z only bet $400 on the river on this board, and he showed the ace of diamonds. So we know he has trip aces at minimum. His opponent showed the queen high flush and decided to tank more than 10 minutes. We'll show you what happened coming up later on. But when I jumped into the game, I wasted no time losing with pocket jacks when the player on my immediate right called my flop bet with a gut shot straight draw and drilled it on the turn. Fortunately, I was able to bet fold in the hand, and then I played a second hand where I 3-bet pocket queens, and he flopped 2 pair with 10-8 before turning a full house. I was fortunate enough to improve to a straight on the river, which resulted in me doubling him up in an $1,100 pot. I lost a couple more pots, and at 3 p.m. I was down about 800 in an OMC-heavy game. Usually most of these guys leave by 4 o'clock, so I felt that I just needed to kill some time and shake off some tilt. So I figured some scrambled eggs at Cafe Milano sounded like a good way to pass the time as I listened to the latest Crush Life Poker podcast, which, by the way, $10 rake in Boston. At Wynn Boston Harbor. You heard me right, 10% rake with a $10 cap. And I heard they're only open until like 8 p.m. It is definitely good to be in Reno in that regard. I jump back in and waste no time value owning myself with pocket aces against a guy who rivered 3s and 4s and still gave me a speech before paying off with the best hand. And just like that, we're down over 1,000. We get a player opening 15 under the gun, and I have pocket kings in the low jack and make it 45. Cutoff cold calls, under the gun complete, so with 140 in, the flop is jack 9-6 with 2 spades. Under the gun checks, and I bet 70. Cutoff calls, and under the gun folds, so with 280 in, the turn is an offsuit ace. I don't like it, but I still felt that I had to bet given the amount of draws he could have here. I make it 105, and he proceeds to raise me to 250, forcing me to fold. There wasn't much conversation in the game, so I fire up some rise against. Then the button straddles 10, and under the gun, a very tough opponent, makes it 45. It then folds to be in the low jack with pocket aces. I 3-bet to 115. Straddle folds, but under the gun, who is a very good player, but occasionally can play it a little bit looser than I'd recommend pre-flop, makes the call. With 245 in, the flop comes ace 8-3 rainbow, and under the gun checks. There are no draws out there, but that ace is likely to kill my action, so I decide to slow play this bad boy. Turns a 7 of clubs. He checks it again, and this time I've got a bet. I make it 105, and he doesn't think too long before putting in 5 black chips. My all-in bet was only $125 more. He obviously snap-called at that point, but said out loud that I probably had aces, and sure enough, I did. We have a $1,500 pot. He has the 7-8 of spades for a turned 2 pair, drawing dead. My slow play in this case works out beautifully, and I make some money off a guy that's usually tough to get anything out of, though he'd be okay. He'd go on to flop top set himself about an hour later, and would win a pot made up of a lot of black chips. I then win another small pot, and then find myself with the absolute nuts in the form of aces full of kings in a spot where I wasn't sure how to play it given that I didn't feel like either opponent had much. a theory that was proven accurate when they both snap-folded to my relatively small river bet sizing. So, after being stuck over $1,000, we're now in the black, which is also the color of a lot of my chips. After that, pretty much all the daytime crowd had departed the premises, and the game started to get a lot more interesting as predicted. We get guys buying in really deep and some betting hockey pucks. About 30 minutes after that last hand that I played, we get a $20 open from under the gun, and I have ace-5 of clubs on his immediate left and make the call. +1 is an older gentleman from out of town who's been commenting on how this game is just way crazier than he expected. He decides to min-raise to 40. 3 guys proceed to call that bet. I thought about a squeeze, but didn't feel that it would be credible, so I just call, and with 200 in, it comes King 7-3, 2 clubs, giving me the nut flush draw. Gets checked to the pre-flop raiser, who, I kid you not, bets just $25. More surprising than that, though, was that 3 guys called and no one raised. So I ask you, could a better squeeze situation possibly exist in a game like this? I didn't think so. I go ahead and make it 150, and I won't have to edit the video to show you how quickly everybody snap-folded. I then lost about $200 with ace-queen of diamonds on a queen-high board, but a good turn fold prevented any further damage against a deep-stacked opponent who had pocket aces.
That dealer got paid by the word. Did you? He'd be the richest dealer.
So those were some of the highlights of the night for me, but for local legend Mr. Z, he had to endure somewhere between a 10 and 15-minute tank, which was a record. And if you're wondering why nobody called the clock, it's because Mr. Z, he's the kind of guy who's not going to want someone else calling the clock in his pot. If he wants it called, he can call it himself. He's not the kind of guy that me or anyone else is going to call the clock on his opponent when he stands to win quite a bit of money. And as you can see, he did finally get called after Rena, the floor, came over, and she basically just called the clock herself and resulted in this opponent paying him off finally with her queen-high flush. He ended up showing aces full. I'm not sure if he'd go on to book a win on the day, but I know I did. All right, just before 10 o'clock, cashing out and booking a $471 win on kind of a weird day. One where I got into this spot where I had flopped, well, I hadn't flopped anything. I had pocket queens and a 4-bet pot, jack high board, and a dealer put a ton of pressure on me all the way to the river, and I ended up folding the river to an all-in bet. And have any of you ever had this thought before when you play with a dealer? It's like, you know, you can outplay me or you can get tipped. I don't love the fact that you think you can get both. I'm not saying that's necessarily the right way to think about it, but that is what I was thinking. He told me later that he had the set of jacks. Not sure if I buy it or not. But either way, you know, in spots like that, I've been kind of erring on the side of caution, and I think it's worked out well for me so far this year because, well, things continue to go pretty well this year. All right, so a very up and down Thursday night session. Not one that I was able to vlog as many hands as I would like, but that'll be the case for the next couple of months. I'm still going to do vlogs because, well, I love doing the vlog, and I think it's actually lately been helping out my poker game by paying strict attention to the hands I vlog, by trying not to make stupid mistakes, so that'll be on the vlog, things along those lines. So I'll still do the vlogs, but I could probably, with my arm situation, will not be able to edit as many hands as I would like in there. By the way, with regards to the arm, it's pretty funny how, you know, everyone asks you how it happens. It's always kind of funny when people that you don't even know, like, that you don't even know their name, and they don't even know you, but they want to know what you did to your arm. Half the time, the line I use when they ask what happened was, well, you know, if it hadn't already been broken when Jaquaski Tart dropped that interception against the Rams in the NFC Championship game, then I definitely would have broken it then. Still trying to come to terms with yet another painful 49ers postseason exit. Norman Vegas writes in, and he does so on Twitter at Ben Deach, which if you want to get a question of the weekend, that's the best place to go, even though I'll try to obviously look through the comments here and find them as well. But Twitter gives you a better chance of getting yours read. And Norm just basically wants to know how often I take breaks and how long they are. Well, this is kind of a good vlog to ask that question because of the fact of what I showed you in the beginning of the vlog. Sit down in the game is bad. I lose money. Wasn't all that hungry, but decided it was a good time to step away from the table for a half an hour and go grab something to eat. And in this case, it was just an example of needing to wait out the shift in the game. Needing to just keep my seat, but allow the game to evolve around me, letting the tight OMCs leave, letting the looser nighttime players enter the game, and sure enough, it worked out exactly like that for me. But that's not really necessarily, I don't think, what Norm is asking. I will tell you this, I get up from my seat. I lead the league in that. I get up every 10 minutes and, just make a loop around the poker room to, just not to get too sedentary, just to stay up, get steps in, keep moving around. That's just how I am. And I've always felt that it helps, but there's definitely nothing better you can do than when you take a bad beat or go on tilt, then you get up and walk in. That's the best time to do it, because chances are right afterwards you're going to play hands you shouldn't play, you're going to make mistakes. We've all done it. So taking a break then is the most recommended thing, because there are probably going to be times later on when the game is really good, and at that point you don't want to take a break. You want to stay in there and maximize the amount of hands that you get dealt to try to put yourself in the optimal spot. But there's definitely no shame in getting up and walking away for 5-10 minutes every single hour of the game. I don't think. I think that's always a good move. But I do it a little differently, getting up every 5 to 10 minutes, but not missing a hand, just getting a walk around the poker room while other hands are being played, and then getting back and getting dealt into the next hand. That's just kind of been my thing. But do what works for you. Hey, if you made it this far, do us a favor and hit the like and subscribe buttons. It is great for the channel, and follow me on Instagram at Ben Deach. And hey, if you want to play some poker action when you're on the go, consider downloading the Poker Bros app. I'm sure most of you guys already have. Some I know play while they're at the poker table playing live poker. They'll mix in a game on Poker Bros for lower stakes, or of course just play when you're on the go to improve your game. Check out the High Society group. That's the one that I play in, and the only one that I can absolutely vouch for, because being on Poker Bros, that is obviously half the battle, is knowing you can trust the agents to pay you out and handle the money all properly. And the High Society group, I can absolutely guarantee, will handle you in that regard. So what you need to do to get onto High Society is download the Telegram app. It's a free app. It's like texting. And then you want to contact this man right here, at RFF_HS. All you got to do is text him on the Telegram app. He'll get you squared away and get you going on Poker Bros in the High Society group. Use my referral code that is listed in the description below. Appreciate you guys for watching in what's been a difficult time to to get the vlogs in. It's kind of funny with with regards to the hand. It's like my ability to do my reporter job is limited, and my ability to parent my 2-year-old son is limited. But one thing I can do a lot of is play poker. So I've been kind of really in grind mode of late, and things have been going well. We'll see you back here next time.